Hey, look, menu pog.
When did you guys start playing League?
I don't know,
question.
Kitty. That's a great question, but they'll answer that after you leave because you got to get your own. Okay? Bye. Sorry, that was. I'm not allowed to be mean to Kitty. I'm sorry. We just have to move on with the show, Kitty. It's not your fault, all right? It's not your fault. What an asshole, huh? What a bloody hat. A little scrawny man doing real rude things to all of our friends. That's me. You know, that was just my other personality. I got a split one, but it splits into like 7 different ways. Yeah, which one do you know, Rusty?
Was the movie Glass?
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking of when you say that. I only know Happy Smiley Mac that gets dog names wrong, but is still smiling. That's the one that I like.
Well, I didn't get it wrong, technically. I just forgot what the name was. Didn't try to give him a name.
Sorry.
So, yeah, you better be! All right, now, look, sorry, that probably hurt your ears. But we got a third game to talk about, so let's talk about Pentanet first, because they had a huge, enormous, massive, large, big old double V, which happens to be a W, yesterday over Chiefs. So definitely the biggest dub. They've had this split, and they look so good doing it, but Gravitas have also been causing an upset or two here and there. So we'll see if PGG can back themselves and back it up. Again, Rusty, talk to me. What can Gravitas do to take this dub? And is it going to come through Azus in that top lane?
I mean, Azus has already proven to be a very big improvement for the overall map play of Gravitas, right? And absolutely, if it were to happen again, I do feel like it's Azus working with nobody. The two top laners seem to have it locked out on how they want to play the game together. They've put in a lot of work, and really, you know, Da Jung has a much more freed up time to play League of Legends with these top laners getting it done for him, when normally for the side of Gravitas, and as you're seeing here, there's a lot of pressure just placed onto him, and then suddenly the fights are really difficult for Menulog.
Yeah, it was a very fun time that was had last time both these teams went head-to-head. But the real question is, are we going to see Gravitas pulling a mammoth, just having a good time for their last game of the split, or are they going for gold? Are they just going to be throwing everything at the wall, seeing if something sticks? What are we expecting here, Skinny?
There's a part of me that would love to see something as crazy to end your split in that fashion. But there's also a part of me that thinks you've got such a big roster, you want to keep getting more stage experience and prove that you should be the player that, you know, is selected for that core 5 going forward, especially into split 2. So I think there's 2 different directions. I think, honestly, I prefer to see the second variation. Just see, you know, Gravitas spit as real terror, as they much did, you know, 2021. Split 1 was a little bit rough. Split 2, they came out, doubled their wins, and certainly caused a few more upsets.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get sort of the ladder, you know, a little bit of something fun. You know, we did see that Fiddle Noct come out last year. I don't know how in the meta Fiddle is. I don't think he's anywhere near it, but still combined with Noct, he could be in for a team fight or two. But we kind of thought that maybe there was a chance for Mammoth last game, and there definitely wasn't. So let's see if Gravitas... oh, they're not actually in the interview, but I was going to say if Gravitas were in the interview, if they're just going to be saying a champion name over and over, letting everyone know what they're going to play. But that's not the case, because we will be having a big fan of the LCO, and we're all a big fan of him as well. Big old Rogue's going to be on that interview. So, look, I think we're ready for Kitty. Let's bring her in to the conversation. Kitty, how do you think this game's going to go, and who do you have for the interview, even though I just said it?
I don't know who's going to be for the interview, Mac. How about you transition me into my interview?
Well, here's Rogue.
Well, hello,
Hi.
Rogue. How are we feeling versing a brand new Gravitas with Azus in the top lane?
I don't even know who like Gravitas is using as players really. Like, this just is what it is. It's like the clown car. The clown car rolls up, and we're like, all right, what clowns are we taking on today?
Well, someone that you made look like clowns or chiefs last night, grabbing a very convincing win. So people keep highlighting that Balkan is actually the only person that people should be looking out for. What do you have to say to that, and how you prove them wrong?
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I think the rest of us suck, and it's just Team Balkan. I think that's a fair criticism. No, I don't think it was too one-sided yesterday, and I watched the interview back and before the match they said yesterday, and it is just best of ones. I will give them that, and so anything can happen. So same thing as this game, right? Best of ones, it's coin flip o'clock. You know, best of fives were never losing to this team, but best of ones that can happen happened to Peace yesterday. So you got to take the boys seriously, and we got to make Peace sweat, because right now they're gonna watch this, they're gonna see us win, they're gonna be like, oh boys, we can't lose to Kenga or we'll be third. And even if they don't lose, it'll be funny to know that they were scared, you know.
Well, I'm sure Peace is sweating right now as they are going to verse Kenga tonight. So, with you playing in the LFL previously for a year, spending some time living in Europe, what was your favorite thing about living in Europe, and how's it any different from living in Melbourne? And hello, Pradith.
Yeah, he's making his coffee. I let him know. I was like, oh, Mark, I'm having an interview. It's like, don't worry, I got clothes on. I don't think he minds being on camera as long as he's got clothes on. All right, so the question. Yeah, Europe's OP. Europe's like so OP because you go like 5 minutes and you're in like a different country. So that was cool. So it was like completely smurf to go on like mid and end year break and just like do things and just be like, I'm in Barcelona, lost all my shit in Barcelona. That was cool. Oh, I swore on broadcast. My bad, guys. But yeah, Europe's OP.
It's
Europe's
okay.
cool lifestyle. It all makes sense. So good for holidays. Good for holidays because big committal going overseas holidays in Australia.
Well, hopefully I go to Europe. I want to go to Europe, but you know, COVID. Best of luck in your match against Gravitas, and hopefully we don't see the same performance from Peace last night where you guys get a really quick win.
Thanks.
As a challenger, don't you get like crazy buffs? Just in general, you get all those fancy gifts like backpacks. You get visas real cheap or something. Or is this just gossip?
There was actually a feature in Japan or in China, I believe, where you could get discounts depending on your league rank. And I believe if you were a challenger, you got the food for free, and the higher you were, the bigger the discount was. So that was something that happened.
They have that
ages
for
ago.
PC bunks, don't they? Is that what?
That was
Do they?
Korea, was that?
Was
Is
it
it
Korea?
real?
It was an Asian country.
Yeah, there was one in China as well. They announced, so like if a challenger player logs on in a PC bunk at some of them in China, it actually announces that they've logged on at that PC bunk. It's like a celebrity is logged in. Yeah. Stuff like that exists.
I was
Look
just
at me, guys,
joking.
look at me.
I didn't know that actually existed, but that's kind of
Kitty's
dope.
right.
So I'm gonna go over there and see if there's an announcement, just because I could be challenger and in that country. Not here. No.
True.
You know, is
True.
that how it works? I just got... What was that, Rusty?
Listen,
Come
okay,
on.
there's like 20 servers in China. You've got a shot. Just don't go on Ionia or the super server. You've got a shot.
Okay, well, I'll remember that when I end up going on the super server and calling myself Super Mac and see how far I get. Now, of course, we got to talk about predictions. We got to talk about the Dare fan vote and you guys getting your points in, putting them on the team that's going to win to do my predictions for me, but also win more points for yourself, and then make a little percentage bar go on the stream at some point to tell us what you think is going to happen in the game. That's what's going on here. It
Yes.
needed to be explained very thoroughly and intensely, just so you all don't make any mistakes. Make sure you don't click on the wrong team, or you could throw my prediction. Because you've already been doing that, like, accidentally anyway, so just do it on purpose. Why not? Anyway, let's have a look at the predictions. Everyone's feeling it after PGG's performance yesterday. Rusty, what is the chance we're going to see an upset today?
Oh, I mean, it depends on what Gravitas we get. Given last game's field test from Mammoth, we're not sure, but I'm going to say if last game was 80-20, this one's 90-10.
Ooh, okay. All right. I feel it. I don't know if Twitch chat will go with you on that one. Usually, see, this is the thing with Pentanet. They have such a large following that whenever there's any Twitch predictions for them, it's going to be mad inflated one way or the other. Although, said that yesterday, and I think it was 2080, the Chiefs, just because there was a lot of points put on them. I think that's exactly what it was. What do I recall? Anyway, that is it for the predictions. Kitty, do you want to have your say on how you think this game's going to go and what PGG is going to actually do to Gravitas today?
The more times that Prey gets caught in that midwave as his death count goes up, his percentage of winning goes down. So definitely look out for Prey's death count. And like Rusty said, the number, what was it? Rusty, what did you say? It was pretty high.
90-10 for
90-10, maybe
yeah.
it'll be a 20-80 by the end of tonight because of Prey's obsession over midwaves. Let's just say that.
It's like the graphics card. Pretty tanky, but, a little bit little bit old. You don't see it as much as, the other ones. Anyway,
Yes.
game's not too far away. Are we going to see something crazy? Is that Noct going to get through? Are we going to see some Noct in lane? I'm really hoping we do. It got banned away yesterday, even though they knew Azus was playing top lane. So we'll see if PGG follow up. Do you think that's going to happen, Skimmy?
Possibly. I mean, yeah, like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if they just threw everything at the game and so, try and conjure up a victory into this, something that we don't scrim with, something that you're not going to typically see in a stage environment. Certainly, I mean, Dejong might just pull a rabbit out of a hat again and show us something new to end out things with. Right, he's definitely got a unique champion pool, but yeah, if Azus has played in the jungle, why not just bring it back to lane?
Yeah, it's just one of those things as well. Now, if we have a quick chat about the junglers, of course, this is like one of those situations where the difference between them is enormous, just in terms of experience. But let's see if that gap gets huge or if it gets closed and nobody has something to say. But Champ Select is ready, so let's jump on in for Game 3.
Yes, only 2 more games remain to close out the group stages here for the LCO's first split of the year. As Gravitas kick things off with the left-hand side, already banning multiple champions away. Tom Kench this time will not be able to be played. A good ban if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, Tom Kench definitely a good ban. No Nocturnes though, and Gravitas. Look, it's possible that they pick it. It's possible that they flex roles. Honestly, we don't know what we're going to get from this team. So we'll keep our eyes peeled towards top and jungle. Remember, they're both top laners. They've both filled jungle for Gravitas at different times. Hecarim is going to be a free first lock in here. Again, I want to bring up that the standard response is probably like an AD carry and a volley bear, but Lee Sin has been rising and rising in priority in OS and has been seen globally as a good option into the Hecarim. That's just a surprising first pick there, though, from PGG.
It's a very surprising first pick. Now, we've only seen the Kaiser be played in the bot lane. We've yet to see it played in mid.
Yeah.
Maybe a pocket pick saved for later on. We know that Yuri certainly can play the AP champions, but loves to be very aggressive, loves to play those skirmishing styles of the Yone, the Silas, and so on. One little small note is that Praetov's most played champion of last year was the Kaiser, 19 games. So if we are, I suppose, going down the rabbit hole of percentages, I'm probably thinking like 80-20 that it's in bot lane again.
Yeah, I think Kitty will be in Twitch chat, no doubt, saying Kai'Sa mid, please. I believe that's what she was doing the entirety of yesterday's games when a Kai'Sa was locked and played AD. We will see how that pans out for PGG. Like you said, I'm pretty much aligned with you on the percentage chance it goes anywhere other than into the hands of Praetor. PGG on the other side here as well, with support left to be picked, with the Nautilus being seen as a response. I actually think that they've got some flexibility now as to how aggressive they would like to be. Leona is your standard, I would say, right? Like you see Nautilus, you have a Kai'Sa, you want to be a close range, aggressive CC-based champion.
Yeah.
So that works wonders, and we'll just confirm basically in my mind that is now going to be a Kai'Sa AD.
100% right, because you're always looking at some form of CC support to really bring that Kai'Sa passive online nicely, only for all that bonus damage. You put the 2 and 2 together, and that's a lot of damage you've got to quickly account for whenever you do take those trades. PGG get a ban away to Zilean, make life a little bit difficult here. We have seen Dejong flex into that direction if the team of Gravitas try to play around Piglet being that sole carry. Gravitas going to respond back, though, and ban away to Gnar. Now, I mean, we've seen it from Tapu, we've seen it from BioPanther, but Winter is certainly in the conversation, as I would say, like a top 3 Gnar in the region.
I think we can basically almost tell what PGG want as a comp from here with those bans as well, right? You get rid of the Zilean, so you're probably looking for something like the Vex, or, like a Divey type of mid lane champion, like a Ryze even. And then you ban the Jax, which is usually a tell for Camille. With Gnar taken away, it does actually, get brought into question exactly where they want to go. I think if PGG are going to play the 5-man dive strategy, then whatever it is, I mean, this works, has to be something that flips the fight with the Kai'Sa, right? All 5 champions looking to dive, which is why I say Vex as a real possibility for mid.
Vex is so good, though, isn't it? If you need a blanket champion, what are you going to go for? Well, we need engage, we need hard engage. We saw what it did yesterday, and it just found the angles ever so well when you're collapsing with what PGG have already got in their first 4 picks here. Gravitas hovering this Shen. It doesn't look like they're going to move away from that one, so certainly a way for Azus to play topside, play away from him, put pressure elsewhere.
Nobody a Shen player as well.
Oh, it's true.
Who knows?
Laning Hecarim? Are we TN now?
They just flex rolls.
Yes.
Certainly we don't know. Looking for mid here for Dajong. Zoe hasn't been banned, which is often banned away from him. It's just the Zilean this time. Their composition can work pretty flexibly, and this is, I don't want to say signature pick, but definitely one of the best picks that we've seen from Dajung, with the most success for him as a mid laner for the team.
That would be interesting. Wow.
We do have the Kai'Sa mid.
So it really is to be the case. Yeah, won't it be? It looks so picture perfect with the Kai'Sa Leona together. Xayah Leona obviously works phenomenally as well. Xayah, a great champion from what we've seen between both himself as well as Raze into hard engage. One thing that is interesting though, which I've always found with AP Kai'Sa, is it can be a little bit weak at times if you are getting hard engaged, right?
Yeah.
Certainly, you had to try and play around your W cooldown. If they're in your face, you don't really get a chance to poke.
It's weak a lot of the time until it is really strong, right? It has a reliance on scaling through like a tier build, unless it's Xayah mid, who knows? It has scaling through the tier build. It has, you know, almost 2 full items, maybe 3 full items to be completed before you would say that Kai'Sa is extremely oppressive. Where you would expect the Sylas to be much more active prior to that. And it feels like, for me, like there was a couple of options that PGG had with their draft, with their last pick, right? One of them was obviously go for an AD and put the Kai'Sa mid. The other one was like, just keep Kai'Sa bottom, play the dive mid champions that have magic damage like the Vex or Ryze, and just all 5 go in. This time around, we're looking at much more of like a Pensinet.gg have said Praedyth good luck, and they are not going to make eye contact with that Xayah in team fights. They're going to be diving, and Xayah has to kind of do it for herself. The Praedyth just going to be relying on that ultimate to survive against the Hecarim, but can work brilliantly into the dive of Gravitas, as it's not like hard crowd control. It is a bit of kite and movement speed involved in that, right? And then the feathers can absolutely let rip.
Oh, they certainly can. As much as PGG can step forward, and Gravitas can do the same. If they do pile drive into the Xayah, Praedyth is going to be very adept at basically hitting one button and cancelling out everything that Gravitas throw their way. Very exciting to really see how this one's going to come down to the wire, because Yuri has got the Kai'Sa. It is, for the first time, in the mid lane. Going to be going up against Dajung, that loves to play the Sylas too, and in terms of ultimates that he can steal, certainly got a lot of potential to be the difference maker.
There is absolutely. I mean, there's not really overpowered ultimates to steal for what it's worth. There's a couple of really good, impactful ones. I mean, Renekton ultimate scales with ability power, Skimmy, so who knows?
Who knows indeed. As we load into the Rift here for the 3rd game of the day, checking out the scenery as the duck goes swimming by. I'm sure Mac would make some animal noises for that one again, but that's neither here nor there, because we're in to the Rift for the action, for a chance to see what's happening. I can hear him in my ear right now, barking away. Unfortunately, viewers at home can't hear that one, but what they can hear is the luxurious voice of the man we know as Chippy's, coach from the side of Pentanet Gaming. I had to ask Chippies, I mean, it's been really a great string of results recently. Huge win against Chiefs, obviously, but are you really happy now with the form that the boys are heading into playoffs with?
I'd say the win yesterday was mainly a big confidence booster, but we didn't play at 100, and neither did Chiefs, so I'm more excited for the best of 5s than just getting hype off one game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I heard from an earlier interview you mentioned where you're saying that you feel like it's already concluded that it's going to be you and Chiefs in the grand finals. Any sort of hurdles along the way that you think teams are going to give you a really close call?
I don't think a team will give us a close call, but I can see actually Daiwal's giving the other 2, like bottom playoff teams, a close call for sure. I think they're on the rise. The other teams are on the decline.
You had to tell me quickly, on a note about this Kai'Sa, we thought it looked like the best angle initially for it to be Kai'Sa bot lane. What made you go the direction of planting it mid?
Yuri said if he didn't get Kai'Sa mid today, he was going to troll, so got to keep the man happy.
Absolutely, people management. It's much more about drafting and all the rest is people management. Well, I appreciate that as always, Chippies. Great to talk to you as always, and yeah, wish you boys the best of luck.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
You know, people often think that coaching is just about a good draft and good league fundamentals, but the reality is you need your players to be happy. You can't win if your players aren't happy or don't want to be there. So, listen, if Yuri says he's going to run it down, you gotta respect the man's going to run it down, and you pick him Kai'Sa mid so he doesn't. That's called giving yourself the best chance of winning, Skibby. That's good coaching.
Not mental boom if you give him all the tools and sort of take away that
Oh,
responsibility
he can still mental boom.
him. Oh, no, you can't, surely. Because what happens when he's instantly forced to flash away, but still nobody finds the angle to knock him back into the arms of the Sylas, who falls on down. Balkan just lagging behind slightly, but in a 1v2, Yuri finds it.
We would actually have to look at the experience bar from Dajung, because I think a level 3 Silas there just doesn't die, right? Has the W up and probably has extra sustain to get through. That's 1 minion. Maybe 2 minions if he got one just prior to that teleport. That's how close that was to being potentially just a first blood for no trade, right? So a matter of seconds, perhaps a matter of communication from Gravitas. Nevertheless, the first blood goes the way of Pentanet.gg, compliments of that Ignite Kai'Sa mid lane. We've seen this a lot, actually, from players into Silas. They go for the Ignite for lane and in general because Silas wants to hit W and kind of lanes through extra healing.
Yeah.
But into a ranged matchup, usually you would expect a Q-Max Silas. That's what I would expect anyway. So that Ignite actually has a lot of stocks with literally no healing to be seen from the Silas.
Certainly one of those kind of all-in champions in your face, cycling through and finding a lot of sustain to bully his way to a skirmish success. Much the same, I suppose, as you could say for the likes of Renekton. Really wants to be active in these early portions of the game to try and shut down this Shin, keep him at bay, try and deter him from making any plays cross-map. Hasn't opted for the TP to match that with Renekton. Another case of finding a TP to try and take down this Crocodile early.
You can see it's actually going to be a held wave in mid-skimmy. Dajung going to try and get some wards at Raptors just with a bit of a free moment. His wave's still in a pretty tragic state, which makes sense when you're against a triple longsword Kai'Sa that came back to lane. Still components for a Mana Mune, so it's not a full deviation. Both fighting.
And they are Piglet in trouble, forced to walk away from this one. Held his nerve, didn't burn a summoner. Knew he had it.
No
A lot
heal.
of pressure there.
Nobody.
Nobody literally just chilling out there saying, I can see you. Balkan will take you. Gonna go in for this one. Conqueror stack. Will he continue to go for the fight? Daishing separated from his jungler.
Oh, he's dead.
Out goes the missile. There's the way. Skill shots flying and skill shots connecting so well that they'll get that kill. Back to bot lane we go. We continue that trade as both AD carries find the kills. But Pradev is left standing.
That turret was actually really close to getting another cycle of an auto attack off onto Pradev, and there would have been a real chance that was a 2-for-2 type trade, or even just a 1-for-2 in favor of Gravitas. But nevertheless, the dive is successful. Dajung does not exist in mid lane anymore, and nobody dying. Almost choosing to take a fight. He's just dead. I mean, Yuri just plays him for a fool. Nothing he can do. This is a result of the 2v2 skirmish skimmy that just shouldn't have happened. If Yuri is stronger than Dajung, then a Kai'Sa is going to get to the fight and a Silas isn't. And so why is the Lee Sin able to get multiple Q rotations off? Watch the dive in bottom here. Rogue has to flash. I believe also doesn't have Aftershock. It looks like a Glacial build, so really needs to just get in and out, and the chance of trading 1-for-1 is very high. That's what it will result in, but still very favorable for PG.
Certainly is. Means that Pradev goes back to base, got a cheeky bit of extra experience in the process of things, and will have a very small advantage. Just a Doran's Blade at this stage. Certainly a dangerous tightrope tread early on into this game if you do give these AD carries a lead to talk about. But it has to be all about Yuri. The fact that he's fighting that kill, that he's ahead with a bounty on his head already. He needs those resources because he needs to hit those crucial breakpoints to start evolving those abilities. Q primarily with the Mana Immune. That's why the tears come out.
Yeah, it actually has to be Mana Mune and a Serrated Dirk for the Q evolve though. This is where it gets a little bit awkward. And full AP builds, usually a full AP item is the W evolve. There's nobody. Hello.
Hello indeed. Yes, just wanted to pick up some Krugs, but told no, you're not allowed that. Balkan flashing forward, but just watching the horse gallop away to safety. Now his team goes in as he's still channeling the recall. They're going to turn around and nearly get Yuri, but a clutch shield comes across and just keeps him alive. Daishung's got flash. He's stolen the solar flare, but he cannot snipe the Kai'Sa. Down goes the stun. Down goes Balkan. And surely now PGG will disengage away. Unless...
Oh, I mean, nobody's still level 5. I don't know if he's even close to level 6, but he'd need to farm up some camps. Dajung just going to waddle back to mid lane. Still the Kai'Sa in and on the map, but with no health. Oh, in a lot of trouble.
Oh, he splashed onto him. This is a great punish here. Huge. Daishung fighting that shutdown.
Yeah, really well done. Also being able to hit the Q first from Fog of War to ensure that the maximum amount of damage possible comes out. Flashes because he knows he has lethal. And Yuri just choosing to stay on the map instead of a reset after that fight gets rightly punished, making a play. Just trying to get back to farm that mid wave. And I mean, look at the state of the mid wave right now. If Dajum gets back to that, that's kind of just winning for mid and does a lot for equalizing it. I think also Winter flashed to cancel the Shen ult in that fight. It was just kind of based off the minimap. And that's a pretty significant difference for the follow through on that skirmish.
Certainly is. Could be a lot healthier, could have been a lot stronger, but it is still 8 minutes in, and it is still Pentanet with a 2,000 gold lead. They've really been picking apart nobody, as we expected, between the difference of these two. So, we're going to keep them at bay. Pops the fruit, still on the Herald. Zeus jumps in. Winter with the Dominus active, got the Fury there, and the empowered abilities ready to burn. Conqueror stacked up, slice, and a dice. And the horse goes down.
There's not much to say about that skirmish, Skimmy. In reality, Gravitas just try and take a fight that wasn't theirs. And they do get punished for it. Very well played by Winter, who just, I mean, legitimately just stands on the spot and deals damage to the closest target. And Belkan just puts in some work on the side there. Teleport going to be used to get back to mid lane. Renekton ultimate stolen. Rogue with Hex Flash. Boo.
Just going to say g'day, nothing more. In goes Dejong though, saying it's my time to shine. Watch me become the Renekton. He's really trying to bully him away from this one, but the Herald still does successfully connect with that mid turret.
I mean, you can't ask for more for a start here if you are PGG, right? Lead on your Lee Sin. It's Belkan, first of all, who's a tyrant. Impossible to deal with when he gets ahead. He's on a Lee Sin. So Korean Lee Sin tech well and truly online for Pentanet.gg. The Kai'Sa mid, while there has been a couple of deaths, has overall been farming evenly, if not slightly ahead. And Praedyth is 2-0-1. So everywhere possible really is just doing well from PGG. You can't ask for much more from an early game team winning an early game.
Yeah, I mean, your dive threats are there to be strong enough to continue to skirmish at this current pace. Your protection AD carry is going to be strong and sufficient enough to hold his own. Maybe so strong that the Featherstorm doesn't need to be panic pressed early on into this fight. That's the Kraken Slay now. First mythic in the game complete. And it is those two that you highlight that will find themselves with a huge gold lead to start this game off with.
So from the looks of it as well here, Skimmy, it's probably going to be the Ludens rushed by Yuri second. I mean, he's gone straight for the blasting one, so I'm not sure if that's just to maximize his W damage, so that he's not just a Q-bot early. But you would expect there would be a serrated Dirk purchased before that for the Q evolve, nevertheless, is what we are seeing. I mean, it's a conscious choice in my mind, right? That instead of going for the Q and W, potentially the triple evolve, it is just W. So he's saying, I am mid AP Kai'Sa, and I am maximizing the value of that build. Similar to Corki, right? In the way that you get a Manamune because you're still auto-attacking, and you still have AD scaling there, right? It's just that you're magic damage, so double down with the Ludens as fast as possible.
Yeah, he would certainly love to fast forward this game 10 minutes ahead and have that Ludens, have that W evolve, and look to try and make things like this happen. In with the Killer Instinct, out comes the Onslaught of Shadows, putting him to sleep as they are feared away from the action. There goes the Sonic Wave, blasting through the speed of sound. Touching nothing as multiple crippled members of Gravitas are able to limp away.
I mean, yeah, they're zoned off the turret though. So they will survive, they do well to get out with their lives intact, but they're behind, they're pushed out of the lane. And they are still left to lose potentially an entire top lane turret. Demolished basically confirms that 11 minutes in. The Renekton lane just getting it done for the boys in PGG.
And it's a Hull Breaker. So as much as we're talking about a bit of an absence from it in recent weeks gone by, they are going to say, Winter, you're playing it this time. We're going to leave you to your own device. Be a menace, be strong. We can group up, but we'd love to let you just do what you do best.
He's a Gromp Goblin as well. We like it. You're going to take everything. You're going to starve Gravitas out of the game, force them into bad decisions. Speaking of...
Godo making it an unfair fight in mid lane, 3v2. Down goes the turret, in jumps Belkan. Soaking up a storm right now as he hits the safeguard to keep himself protected. Once again, finding an advantage in these health trades.
I don't know if hitting a hook here is ever good. Stand and deliver against a Kraken Slayer completed from Praetor 12 minutes in. That's probably running it down if they took that fight. So it's good that they just disengage. We have to consider that, I know Gromp got cancelled by Winter as he walked mid for the play, but if that Gromp got taken, Raptors got taken, Krugs aren't even up, this Hecarim has literally nothing to do on the map, and it's a complete blowout and starving of a Hecarim, which is worst case scenario, right, for a farming-based jungler. He's lucky he gets a Gromp before the blue buff.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not going to be a Trinity Force Hecarim like we've seen Balkan do, that's for sure. He's going to be finding that one very late into this game. Balkan is ever present. Real sore point in his backside, that's for sure. Zoning him away from this blue buff. Does he even want it? Is he just letting it reset? Of course he's going to take it. Nobody, no vision, no chance.
Yeah, I mean, Balkan actually just brings it to the bush, right? Has a control ward placed, makes sure that there's going to be no smite fight in that 1v1, pressures away the blue buff. So congrats, you got a Gromp. There's nothing else. Like, your bot lane's taking Krugs. So what does nobody do, right? He brings Jung, they're going to have a crack at top. He has no other choice.
Starts with a taunt. There's a solar flare there, stolen by Dejun. Nobody on the flank, looking to zone them away. They need to lay the CC perfectly. Aggro's the Everforce, there's Yon the Shadows, there's the CC, and Winter can just flash away. And they have been absolutely outdone.
They put all this effort into stopping him from getting to the wall. And then he still just gets over the wall and is fine. No issues at all. I mean, they get a summoner spell out of him. But again, if there's no money being injected, okay, that's an awkward pause time for Winterer.
Yeah, certainly not the pause he's after. Leaping across the wall as the kick goes out as well. Knocking back as Zeus. We'll get word of what that means in just a second, but for the meantime, I mean, if you're held in suspension as a pro player, unable to communicate, you're thinking, what is our play coming out of this one? Because that seems like a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, this is most likely just going to be a... is that the Shen?
Yeah.
A dead Shen. There is an Ignite there for him, but really no other type of defensive way to get out of that one. Maybe he has a taunt to safety, I don't know. But the reality is that is PGG making another play. It's almost reactive to the state of the game and state of the map, but they can afford to make those because they're so far ahead and they know that Gravitas don't have any options. They've drawn a line effectively in the enemy jungle and have said, if you cross this line, we kill you. And so it is the Shen that has crossed that line and is about to be potentially punished.
Yeah, I mean, Yuri, whilst that fight went to try and take down Winter in a 1v3, Yuri's pushing mid, Praetor's pushing bot, more gold, more experience, more chance to individually pull ahead of the opposition. So they say, well, you've just burnt all those tools to try and take down the Renekton. You swung the first punch, but we're going to land the second.
Yeah, I mean, it's Gravitas started with a very similar approach to the game as well, right? They tried taking the first punch. They got immediately bested with an Ignite mid laner getting the solo kill. They look for skirmishes around mid jungle. And from this point, like the second that mid jungle skirmish failed at like level 4, the game has been incredibly Pentanet.gg favored because they have Balkan with complete control of the map. And would you believe it? Balkan with control of the map could actually just win the whole game anyway.
Yeah, there's a big reason why literally everybody, when Kitty's had her interviews, has said the one player I'm scared of, it has to be Balkan. He's certainly a character in the game as well as out of it as to what he's contributing to the region really as a whole. And I had to ask the question, I suppose, now if you're looking at what Gravitas, the state of the game looks like, yes, we can talk about Kaiser needing more time to scale. Fantastic, right? You can talk about the Hecarim wishing he had more items to be an absolute menace in this game, but surely you're now all in on this idea that Shen's got Stand United. If he's down in the game, whatever, he's still got that key ultimate. Protect that one key target. You're all in on this Piglet hype train.
You kind of have to be, right? Like, they're really... Even by draft, you know that you're probably going to be playing around that. You try and go Ignite top lane to have a bit more of a fighting chance, and you've lost your turret at 12 minutes. You don't have a winning bottom lane, however. So to be able to say we play around Aphelios requires an incredible amount of work. So I think in reality, you need shutdowns before you can even say that you play around him. And if the shutdown's gone to the Hecarim, what do you even do, right? Like, it's a hard game. I mean, and it scales really rough with a Kai'Sa. Once that W's evolved, the game becomes at like such a long-range playing field that objectives become really hard to contest.
Becomes near impossible if the poke comes out for sure before you can even hard engage. Well, whilst we wait for this pause to be rectified, Let's bring Mac and Kitty back into the conversation and I suppose talk about the state of the game that we've seen so far, Mac.
Yeah, look, well, I was writing some notes, and I wrote PGG won by 8 minutes. But look, it's essentially, they've still got to get across the line. Gravitas still, of course, have to try to hold them off for as long as possible, hope that PGG makes some mistakes, but we're not seeing PGG make too many mistakes occasionally, like the positional ones there, but look, they're disengaging when they need to, they're rotating to keep their teammates alive, they're doing everything by the book, so it's looking pretty good so far. However, something else that's looking pretty good is a couple of these splash arts, so let's jump on. Let's actually not look at the splash arts. It's okay. Because I have got good news. The unpause is coming through shortly. So we're not going to be looking at those. But look, if you look at Rusty like now, and then look at Rusty like 10 years ago, it's pretty much the same thing, right? Because he's looking pretty good right now. That's all I'm saying.
We're in games, Skibby.
That's such an interesting transition from pools to live into a kill. As you can comprehend really what that compliment meant.
I still don't know what he said because I got distracted. I got like 90% of it, so Mac will have to say it to me in DMs later, and I'll judge if it's a real compliment. I assume it was. I trust Mac.
Well, either way, it's actually Gravitas that end up coming out ahead. Yes, it felt like Shen was going to fall on down. He did, but they did take out the two that were ganking the Shen into Lee Sin and Renekton.
Which I guess does come back to the previous point on there's no money on the map for nobody in Azu, so the fact that they get something there is nice. And it's funny because Max says they're not really making mistakes except for positional ones. We'll see what happens here with the follow-up on this fight, because Azus hits the taunt, has the W saved that entire time, actually just gets Ignite Gap. And then, yeah, you've just got nobody that comes in to get the follow-up here, and they get the second one. I mean, well played to Azus. There's not much else to say, right? You cannot fault the play of the top laner, holding W, not doing what a lot of players do, Skimmy, which is just press every button at once to try and live.
Yeah, certainly no panic in his toolbox there. It was all about I'm going in, making a play, and potentially 1v2 Void Seeker just out of line as Winter goes in once again, returning to that scene of the crime, looking to try and take down that Shen one more time. Solar Flare comes on down, locks in place Daejong. You can steal my ult, but you can't do this. Pentanet, as a four-man squad, find the kill.
Pentanet see the teleport and say, it's free. They just immediately turn to the free kill. So they will be able to lock down Daejong. I mean, even with Flash in hand, there was no shot he makes that one out alive. The teleport ultimately saves his team, but is just going to be at the cost of his own life. And PGG, you can see they'll break the bot lane out of turret, but Praetor said one more wave, guys. You know what that? Oh no.
Oh no, the Moonlight Vigil's missed point blank. You really do hate to see it. In comes Winter expecting a fight to break out, and he returns back to where he came from.
Straight up from Fog of War as well. That's really tragic from Piglet. Just completely whiffs. If they have a 550 gold shutdown sitting into the hands of Praetor, who does greed for one more wave. The teleport from Winslow was super important for that one, though, to try and keep him alive and deters them almost completely. But I wouldn't have been mad at like a 1-for-3 trade, because there's a lot of gold there.
There is 800 gold shutdown if they can find Praetor, and if you can look at the scoreboard as well, you've seen that all those objectives would add up quite handsomely. Easier said than done. They need to find that moment, but really Pentanet is putting a bit of a stronghold on this game. They've got the vision, they've got the map control, they've got the turrets to do what they like.
The 7k gold lead is going to become pretty difficult to deal with, as the wallet can absolutely continue to slap them. And you'll see Yuri every 4 seconds slap at him.
Yep, he's certainly got that Void Seeker connecting on that key target, poking him from afar, ready to lock them down. And there it is again. He's sniped out nobody. They're all so low they can't hard engage because they are just getting ripped apart from afar. This Herald has found infinite value as mid lane has just been purely decimated.
PGG in two minds almost about, oh, goodbye. Oh, you thought you were alive. Another one will connect. They probably dive this if Daejong isn't careful. Oh, I mean, they will look it. They're still looking.
Falcon says you can't dodge everything, jumps in, looks to try and find the hook. That's going to be found there by Vexpert, punishing on towards that Lee Sin. The clapback with Daejong dropping down the Solar Flare and answering
I've seen
back
Yuri
with a
win
double.
these. He just keeps hitting W's, Skivvy. Gravitas will push him back. They will save the inhibitor. But can they stop the endless onslaught of this absolute menace? You got to dodge. You got your taunt ready.
Yuri really was saying, can't
No,
step
but
out
like
your face.
miss, man.
'Cause look at that. That's 1 W.
Okay, you know what?
There's no way. It's
Okay.
heat-seeking.
Bro. He wants to recall, but he's
Dead.
just hit. Nah, okay, it still hits though. Listen, what the hell?
He's just going to run out of mana. That's the only way
What
he
the
loses, man.
hell?
Literally, everyone's connecting. He's just cracking.
He's an artillery cannon. It's just standing still and they're constantly getting hit. You know, if one misses, the cooldown is 77% longer, Skibby.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like a 16-second cooldown after.
Try missing one, Jesus.
It's so fun, though, when they do land, because you just feel like an absolute menace. You feel like a Zeref just ulting, but every 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's very impressive. It is a point in the game that you're always afraid of that a Kai'Sa could hit. It's kind of like, I guess when you get completely outscaled by a composition that you have no way to get onto, right? Like you have no engage, they have a poke composition, right? Nidalee throwing spears, Jace hitting shock blasts. Jinx sitting there with a W with like max range with a rapid fire cannon. You kind of sit there and you're like, what do I even do? Kai'Sa does that by herself, completely by herself with the W evolve if she gets ahead. And she actually got first blood and had a shutdown very early into the game. So a lot of accelerated items there.
Yeah, certainly. And it just helps. It helps so much, right, to hit that point where the game does really start to become quite fun as the Kai'Sa player. So no doubt, Yuri's going to be loving his life in this game right now, but maybe not so much as Praetive, because as we did go to that quick pause once again, which I do apologize for, worth noting that Praetive has a 3-level lead and like, what, a 90 CS advantage? He's monstrous.
Praetive has been pretty much by himself the entire game. I mean, I said this from draft, right, as well. Like, you think about what the Xayah provides for the team. It is a full dive comp, potentially, just with a Kai'Sa that gets to pick her moment. But the Xayah is just hanging out, right? Like, if they try and dive onto you, then you're happy if you're Praetive. Otherwise, you're just kind of chilling. And he's taken a lot of turrets, so I'd say he's done his job pretty well.
I'd say so as well. It just feels to me as if Yuri's the instigator, really trying to upset the balance of Gravitas' mental. They say, well, we have to go in. And Praetive says, did you forget about me? You've just fallen for my trap, which is all these feathers locking you down, especially in a choke spot like this. Very dangerous as Vixper goes alone into the dark.
Oh, he missed one.
Missed one, okay.
Shout out, Yuri.
He is human after all.
Turns out he's not a robot. Or it turns out his opponents are human and dodge. It's also the same possibility. Drake going to be up in 3 seconds, but a Baron is already done.
It's just gone.
Let's see how PGG choose to play this out, because I think between Rogue and Yuri, they have a shot of stopping this. If he doesn't face check death.
Yeah, Yuri going to try and cop himself a Fat Killer Instinct. Tried to flash away as well, but just a little bit too much limit testing on that occasion. Rogue turns around since we got the Baron buff. Now the cavalry really is coming. How does Zeus hold his nerve this time? Because surely Balkan doesn't follow that Sonic Wave. He does it. Winter is there. Oh no! He's failed the ult across the wall.
Ah, dear.
That is devastating.
Oh, you hate to see it. What can you say? I mean, he got the Drake. He earned it. It's a good death. We'll give him a good death. PGG's still just pushing. They don't need their mid laner, apparently. Their top laner is off dealing with horses, but they're going to start pressuring a lot of lanes all at once here, and Praetive doesn't care. He just wants to be the highest level in the game at all times.
Yeah,
he has an allergy to his teammates.
He said, look, okay, you guys, you're all diving. I clearly understand what the game plan is. You guys will do whatever you want. I'll just farm. And yeah, just look at that. Current level, miles ahead of the competition. 4 levels now ahead of Piglet.
Yeah, he's actually ahead of his solo laner that is fed. Praetive has taken everything. Also, to be completely honest, I think he's going for the speedrun 400 CS record. Like, that is actually really insane that he has 300 CS at 21 minutes.
Trying to check in to see what was higher. I think he would be actually the highest in the league to date so far. If this continues, Rogue jumps in, cops a fair bit of damage, but his job is done. The Void Seeker's there, the Killer Instinct to follow up and to take him down. Penta just going to find free, as nobody and Zeus have to watch from the fountain as their base is being torn apart. 2 inhibitors dead, Another Seeker misses.
You know Yuri wants to lock them in fountain and throw W's. You know he does. The rest of the team can't help much, though.
Oh no, he's been pushed into the base.
Hello? Hello?
My screen went black, and
What,
here
what
I am.
happened? What happened,
Well,
man?
I guess the game's just finished. I'm not too sure. Maybe the biggest cliffhanger I've ever seen on a
Kaiser
broadcast.
W just hit one too many times. The game detected him as being too good and shut down.
You know what we really did see there? It was almost like the observers panning away from an imminent bit of doom. He was about to get shoved into the fountain to be beamed by that laser, and he said, no, that's too
The
much.
parents covered our eyes. He said, don't look.
Well, that was a way to end the game. Pentanet certainly did have a bit of fun on that one. And, well, what a way to end things out there, Mac.
Yes, very
hello?
good.
Yes.
Very good. I was just also having a bit of a moment, but it's okay. Game ended. You know, Pentanet won. I thought it was like maybe going crazy, but look, we're all good. Everything's all good. Gravitas, they tried their best. They got a couple of drakes. They did a couple of things to elongate the game. PGG, a few more positional errors, a few more limits tested, so to speak. But when it's all said and done, it looked like, even from like the draft there, I kind of just thought, you know, front to back, I'm looking at Pentanet. It's just, it seems so much better. I enjoyed Azus, you know, jumping around every now and then as Shen, and that's his second showing in the top lane. Not as good of a performance as yesterday, but of course, what can you do when PGG is coming at you from like the 2-minute, 3-minute mark? They're just ganking, and they're just trying to bank on it as well. So we'll see if Gravitas can improve on this for the next split, but of course that is the end of their journey for split 1. And look, it was a good end to the journey as well. PGG, however, showing us what they're made of, testing a few limits, getting a little bit funny with it at times, but of course taking the W nonetheless. And now Peace need that W as well to stay side by side and keep that slightly different seeding going into the playoffs. But that might not happen if Peace don't get that dub going into the next game, but we still got to keep talking about this one. It just felt like PGG had those waves pushed into Gravitas' base for so long, like for over 10 minutes.
Yeah, it just never felt like this game was out of Pentanet's control, right? It really felt like they were having fun with it, entertaining the idea of Gravitas certainly finding some kills, but ultimately their two key threats in mid and bot were just far too ahead. Even Winterer, right? I mean, started off with those two topside jungle, just making nobody's life a living nightmare. Wasn't able to play the game. Finished that with really just a Trinity Force and some change.
Let's have a look at all the stats here, of course. The gold graph telling you that it was pretty much said and done at that, I'd say, probably like the 15-minute mark. As it got further and further on, it was just like there was almost no coming back. For Gravitas, of course, there was a couple of bounties grabbed where you can see those spikes. But all things considered, look, Hullbreaker, it made its way back in, and Winterer did wonderfully with it. So 14k diff at the end. Having a look at the damage done. Kaiser mid on the old AP build. That is looking cracked as anything. You know, a bit of extra magic pen coming through as well with the staff. And it was just so hard to deal with. I think the only issue was Yuri getting caught out on a couple of those rotations, you know, just staying a little bit too aggressive, maybe a little bit too far forward, and maybe even overstaying at times when he was low in that early game as well. I felt like he got picked off a little bit, but he also was the main damage dealer, and it's just because that build is just so damn strong. And of course, Gravitas didn't have time to build too much magic resistance. But look, let's ask Kitty her thoughts on the matchup and also who you have for the post-match.
We finally got a Kaiser mid-game, boys. Let's freaking go. But,
Woo!
guys, I brought in the man, the myth, the legend, the CS hoarder, Praetus, for the interview. So, Praetus, I actually noticed while the casters also picked this up, you had 300 CS at 21 minutes. How on earth do you actually do that?
My jungler neglected the whole of the bot, like the whole bottom side of the map after like 10 minutes, so I took every blue buff, every grump, every wolf. I decided to go Phantom Dance this game because it gave me move speed, and I wanted to go from camp to wave, back to camp, back to wave. So it was definitely a goal of mine to try to break some records on CS, at least in this region.
So you're telling me that you took all of Yuri's blue buffs?
Yeah, I think I take more blue buffs off Yuri than I have with any other mid laner I've ever played with. He doesn't really say anything, so I can get away with it. I can sneak it in.
God, Prayer, it's so mean. But what do you actually think of the Kai'Sa mid? That's, you know, Kai'Sa, I think Faker brought it up in his game on T1 a few weeks ago. And what do you think of the AP build in general?
I think like if you've been playing solo queue or just like League in general, like AP Kai'Sa just feels so like oppressive sometimes. Like honestly, most games, like it feels like he hits 3 items and like you're just dying from like 5k range away, and like if anyone blocks it, like normally you want your tanks to block it, but like if they block it, they're just gonna reset it and they're just gonna get one shot. So I think like in solo queue and just games in general, like Kai'Sa mid is like really broken. I think like when the game becomes more like professional, like in a professional settings, it definitely like gets a bit worse because there's like ways to counter what it does. But I definitely think if you want to climb in solo queue, you should probably play Kai'Sa and do that build.
And do you have any tips for people who can't hit skill shots on how to climb with Kai'Sa? Well, AP Kai'Sa.
I'm probably the worst player to ask about skill shots. That's why I roll swapped to AD carry.
Oh
so
yeah,
that
true.
one
For
is so
people
bad
that
as
don't
well.
know, Prey used to be a top laner. So let's talk about that. What was your
don't have to.
experience transitioning from top to AD? No, we have to. We have to. What was it like?
It was fun because my favorite player of all time is Perks, and he did the same swap. I wanted to swap to AD carry, and then he swapped from mid to AD carry. That was that year. So I was like, and he was streaming a lot, and he was just like very present on social media and stuff. So I feel like I could like learn alongside Perks a lot, and it was really fun. And it definitely gave me motivation to keep playing the game because I really hated top lane. And then when I quit top lane, they made it the most fun role in the game. So I don't really know why they did that, but if I could swap back to top, I 100% should. Like top is so fun, and all the top laners are so privileged whenever they complain about that role. They have all the fun champs. Same as jungle, to be honest, and support. Mid and AD carries, poor roles, honestly. Poor little things.
Well, we definitely saw an amazing performance on the poor roll from you, Prated, on that Xayah. I'm going to let you go and celebrate your win tonight, and hopefully we see the same performance coming into playoffs.
Thank you.
And the square of the pie of 21 minutes at 300 CS is still unconfirmed. We're trying to figure out if he's got a bloody record or not, if it's just... I think it like has to be one locally. Maybe not in history, but like for the year, has to be right up there. Not going to confirm anything until we get it confirmed, because of course, you've seen me do numbers on stream before. I thought I got 1+1 right, but then Kitty told me I was wrong. So who knows who's correct in this instance. But of course, we got the Dare MVP to have a look at. And today it was Yuri, who was smashing it all around the rift, just leaving lane over and over. But of course, it was all for the greater good. 76% KP, but huge damage share with 37% coming through there, Skimmy.
Yeah, he was having so much fun with it, right? I mean, he just had so much poke potential, but that's just the scary fact of an AP Kai'Sa. If you allow it to get accelerated early on into the game, yes, you can always talk about those abilities needing to be evolved, but the fact he was just getting cheeky kills, finding those moments to execute, the fact that there was no minion wave for those missiles to connect with, he was just able to try and take down Deja nice and early, and by that point, you're just thinking, well, the rest of that team is going to come together, and it's a fun way for them to close out this regular split and focus on playoffs.
That's exactly what you love to see. I feel like with a performance like that, though, Praetus definitely could have made his way into the Dare MVP. But you look, honorable mention, because he could be cracking numbers. He could be making it work. We're still going to be looking into that as we go to the break. But we'll be back with the final game of groups and hopefully the answer to this question as well. But of course, it is going to be Kanga up against Peace coming up just after this.
Pretty difficult to deal with if the wallet can absolutely continue to slap them. You'll see Yuri every 4 seconds slapping them.
Yep, he certainly got that Void Seeker connecting on that key target, poking him from afar, ready to lock them down, and there it is again. He sniped out nobody. They're all so low they can't hard engage because they're just getting ripped apart from afar. This Herald has